I have a question for you. What is the name of Doc Brown's dog in Back to the Future? Hi, I'm Mark Ellison from 5 Daily Trivia Questions. 5 questions, 5 answers, and maybe you'll learn something amazing along the way. The number 5. 5 Daily Trivia Questions. Oh, and the answer? Doc Brown's dog's name is Einstein. 5 Daily Trivia Questions.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White smoke. The path to a new pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
Calaroga Shark Media.
From Hooters, where we're just here for the wings, this is Ballot.
That's right. I didn't even realize they had waitresses. Who am I kidding? My wife doesn't listen to this podcast anyway. Let's hit this. Over the weekend, federal workers across the country received a rather surprising email from the Office of Personnel Management's new HR address. The message was simple. Tell us what you did last week in about 5 bullet points and make sure to CC your manager. Oh, and by the way, this email blast came right after Elon Musk, of all people, threatened on social media that failure to respond would be considered a resignation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Can Musk actually do that? Can he just declare that federal employees are resigned if they don't reply to an email over the weekend? Well, according to Michael Fallings, a federal employment law expert, the answer is a resounding no. Musk can't legally force federal workers to resign, and any attempt to do so would be considered an involuntary termination. If employees were affected by this, they could file a claim challenging the action. Fallings also pointed out that this demand from Musk is completely unreasonable and unnecessary, especially considering the short notice and arbitrary deadline. I mean, who wants to spend their weekend drafting up a summary of their work week? But wait, there's more. Some agencies have actually advised their employees not to respond to the email at all, particularly if their duties are of a sensitive nature. The FBI and NSA have both told their workers to hold off until they receive further guidance. And let's not forget about the unions. They are absolutely outraged by Musk's ultimatum. The head of a top union representing federal workers said it reflects the Trump administration's utter disdain for federal employees and the critical services they provide. Another union president straight up called the email completely un-American. So there you have it, folks. A billionaire businessman, at the behest of a former reality TV star turned president, is trying to strong-arm federal employees into reporting their weekly activities or risk losing their jobs. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. In the meantime, to all the federal workers out there, hang in there and maybe consider drafting up those 5 bullet points just in case. And hey, Elon, do you think you could lay me off so I don't have to keep working on Sunday? Who decided this show comes out 6 days a week now? All right, folks, it's time to talk about the spectacle that was Donald Trump's appearance at the Conservative Political Action Conference, or as I like to call it, the Trump Adoration Society annual meeting. The president spent a whopping 75 minutes on stage, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride. Trump was in rare form, boasting about his victories, taunting his enemies, and basically casting himself as America's supreme leader, king, and divine emperor, all rolled into one. I'm surprised he didn't demand that everyone in the room bow down and kiss his ring. Trump's entrance was a sight to behold. He walked out to the strains of God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood as the crowd went wild. And by wild, I mean they were cheering so loudly, you'd think he had just announced free beer for everyone. The room was packed with adoring fans, including some of the very people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Talk about a warm welcome. For the next hour and a quarter, Trump proceeded to regale the crowd with tales of his greatness. He bragged about pardoning the January 6th political prisoners, killing diversity programs, denying transgender rights, and sending undocumented immigrants to Guantanamo Bay. And with each proclamation, the crowd cheered louder. It was like watching a group of seals clap for a fish. But Trump didn't stop there. He took aim at his opponents, hurling insults and lies with reckless abandon. He mocked Kamala Harris, calling her Kamala and asking if anyone even knew her last name. He called Joe Biden the worst president in history, saying that everything he touched turned to, well, let's just say it rhymes with spit. And he even took a swipe at Elizabeth Warren, resurrecting his old Pocahontas nickname and calling her a crazy, angry person who's always screaming. But perhaps the most bizarre moment came when Trump started ranting about Rachel Maddow. He called MSNBC a threat to democracy, accused them of lying every night, and said that Maddow talks about nothing but Trump, Trump, Trump. I'm pretty sure he's just jealous that she has better ratings than him. Of course, no Trump speech would be complete without some good old-fashioned media love. He smugly quoted Bill O'Reilly as saying that he's the greatest president in history, even better than George Washington. And his supporters were more than happy to join in the love fest. They called him the greatest host in America, the most popular human on the planet, and even suggested that he should win the Nobel Peace Prize for his handling of Russia and Ukraine. I'm not sure what planet they're living on, but it sure isn't this one. But perhaps the most telling moment came when one of Trump's supporters, the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, said that Trump wakes up every day knowing he's the greatest president of all time. And therein lies the problem. When someone is that self-aggrandizing, when they truly believe they can do no wrong, they're living in a bubble. And as we all know, bubbles have a tendency to burst. So there you have it, folks. Donald Trump, the man who would be king, holding court at CPAC and basking in the adoration of his loyal subjects. It's a sight to behold, but it's also a reminder of just how fragile our democracy can be when faced with a leader who believes he's infallible. Let's just hope that bubble bursts before it's too late. Embark on an extraordinary journey into the heart of one of the world's most ancient and mysterious institutions with White Smoke, the path to a new pope. This captivating podcast series takes listeners behind the scenes of the Catholic Church's most solemn and consequential event, the passing of a pope and the selection of his successor. From the moment the silver hammer strikes the pope's forehead 3 times to confirm his death, to the burning of his papal ring, White Smoke unveils the intricate rituals and closely guarded traditions that mark this sacred transition. Listeners will gain unprecedented insight into the secret conversations and centuries-old customs that guide the cardinals in their selection of the next leader of the world's 1 billion Catholics. Whether you are a devout Catholic, a student of history, or simply fascinated by the workings of one of the world's most enduring institutions, White Smoke is an immersive and illuminating journey that will leave you with a newfound appreciation for the timeless traditions and profound mysteries of the Catholic Church. White Smoke, wherever you get your shows. So, Hooters, the restaurant chain known for its wings, beer, and iconic uniforms, is facing some serious financial troubles. After 42 years of supporting their customers, they may be on the verge of bankruptcy. I guess you could say they're struggling to keep their assets afloat. The company has been dealing with declining revenue and fewer customers. Even after being bought out in 2019, in 2024, they had to close around 40 locations due to current market conditions, which is corporate speak for things aren't looking so perky. But don't worry, Hooters tried to put a positive spin on it, assuring everyone that they were still expanding and launching new products. Basically, they were like, sure, we may be closing some restaurants, but look at all of these other great things we're doing. We've got frozen wings in grocery stores now, so you can enjoy our best, from the comfort of your own home. Of course, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows for Hooters. They had to pay out $250,000 in a race and color lawsuit related to their rehiring practices post-COVID. Apparently, they weren't quite as inclusive as their delightfully tacky yet unrefined slogan suggests. But let's be real. The restaurant industry as a whole has been hit harder than a customer who tried to touch one of the Hooters girls. COVID really knocked them out, with supply chain issues, rising costs, and people preferring to eat at home. Restaurant prices jumped 44% from 2015 to 2024, which is enough to make anyone's wallet feel a bit deflated. Even pizza chains, the ultimate comfort food, haven't been immune to the struggles. 6 of them filed for bankruptcy in 2024, including MOD Pizza, which had over 500 locations. And Poor Mary's Pizza, a beloved Northern California chain, had to close its doors after 65 years. I guess they couldn't toss enough dough to keep up with the changing times. So, while Hooters may be heading down the path of bankruptcy, it doesn't necessarily mean the end of the road for them. Some locations are likely to survive, thanks in part to a separate entity called Original Hooters that operates independently in Florida and Chicago. I suppose you could say they're the best of the bunch. In conclusion, it's a tough time to be a restaurant these days, especially one that relies so heavily on its assets. But if Hooters can find a way to bounce back, then maybe there's still hope for the rest of the industry. And if not, well, at least we'll always have the memories and the calendars. Portions of today's show were made with the help of Hooters. Man, that's a fun sentence to say. We also used AI. Now, if we can combine Hooters, robots, and AI, we'll really be onto something.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White Smoke. The Path to a New Pope, from Caloroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.